نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. There's so many issues around wedding ceremonies that people do these days, which is not in keeping with the guidance of Sharia. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that inna a'zama nikahi barakatan aysaruhu ma'una. The best among the weddings with regards to their blessings and being beneficial and fruitful are the ones where very simple and little and limited resources are used. I mean, the easiest one, the one without much trouble, physically, financially, place-wise, causing trouble to people, the time of the day, everything, the easiest of the weddings would be the most blessed. The simple, the better. So the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would conduct such gatherings would be that they would have nikah done, whoever they are. Doesn't have to be in masjid, but preferably in masjid. In those days it could happen anywhere, for the fact that every place was blessed. People would not have sins committed day in day out. Na'udhu billah. Their houses were very pious and clean and nice and blessed. Now we have music, pictures, television going on, chit-chat, fighting going on, using foul languages in the house. So generally, a lot of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we lack barakah in our houses, in any other places, other than masjid perhaps even. Now masjids are getting affected with the corruption of people, raising their voices. Now some masajid have started doing some program whereby they have photography, even mixed gathering, having certain games for the children in the name of bringing the youth back to the masjid, and a lot of activities happening which are not in keeping with Sharia. But anyway, this is a problem that we are seeing. But anyway, despite that, the masajid are the best places, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves masajid the best in the cities. Ahabbul biladi ilallahi masajiduha, as per saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best places in the cities are, or in the places are, masjid for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the worst are the marketplace. Sharul buldani aswaquha. So the reason for doing that in masjid is to have that blessing attached to the wedding, which we all want, so that the wedding continues smoothly. Then the father of the bride, or the brother, or the wali, would drop the bride to the house of the husband, or the husband along with few friends or family member would come and escort the bride back home. This is how simple it was. It wasn't a gathering at that point. But if they happen to come to your house to take your daughter, then you would like to feed them as a normal gesture of love and affection, as a normal guest that you would do. Nothing very, very special, whatever is available in the house. And if you went to drop your daughter to the house of the husband, then they would offer you whatever they have, a drink, some sort of snack, whatever they have. That's without much trouble. So there was no takalluf done. No one going extra miles to do anything other than the norm, day-to-day stuff. And then they would have their time together, and they would announce their walima, which is a mark that they have consummated. They've lived together. They're now husband and wife, not just by nikah, but by living together as well. So you become muhsan. And then they announce it with walima. So it becomes known in the society and community. Obviously these days it gets known with social media, but in those days they would have to display it by having that wedding. So that's a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said to Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who was one of the 10 people who were given the glad tidings of Jannah. So he's quite close within the first 10 people who accepted Islam, in the earliest ever Islam accepting people. So amazing Sahabi. he was in the shura of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman and Ali throughout. Very, very pious, very nice man. He, not Sayyidina Ali, obviously he passed away before that, but he had his nikah done, and he was seen 3 days later, a few days later, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam identified him having some yellow stain, which is normally saffron stain people use for the wedding in those days. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked about that, and he said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I got married. I said, MashaAllah, very good. So look, he never even invited, didn't take any advice. He just went on to do a normal thing, which was the first ever wedding that he had. He wasn't married before. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was happy for that. He made dua for him, and then he said, "Awlim walau bishat, aw kama qal, do walima even with a goat." So if you could do that, because you are now got good business. He was a rich man. He established his business very nicely in the early days of Medina migration. Anyway, so the walima was done. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had his walima for Sayyidah Safiya radiyallahu ta'ala anha. The walima was, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, tomorrow is my walima. Whoever got whatever they have in the tents, bring along. So they all brought whatever they. Some had a bit of cheese, someone had some dates, someone had something else, and they all brought whatever stuff they had. They put their food together on the tablecloth, like a spreadsheet on the floor, and then they sat together and they had their food together. That's it. That was the walima of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Sayyidah Safiya radiyallahu anha. And this is how simple and easy it was. You would not go out of your way to hire a place where you can accommodate that many people, and you have to have lighting and decorations and this cutlery set and that type of stuff, that matching thing here and there, a lot of embellishments, and then you get a lot of debt with that, and then you hope that there will be barakah in it. We are completely anti everything that would bring barakah in the lives of our newlywed couples, in the family, in the community, and that we hope that there will be some barakah. And such that we need to ask the question, if we did a segregated wedding, how could the husband and the wife sit together? There is no need for husband and wife to sit together on the stage. They can be together in the room. That's where they should be, not in the public domain where people are looking at who is husband and wife. They don't have to. They stay on their side and she stay on their side. So bringing them together on the stage, even in the segregated wedding, is a quite common practice and completely against Sharia's law, Sharia's teaching, Islamic teaching. But that's the whole idea, to keep them segregated so that we fulfill the command of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to attract mercy and blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what we do, we just go against it. We do everything with our, from photography to music to dance to mixed gathering, even extravagance, and then food, which is show off. A lot of stuff is show off. And mixed gathering is not just mixed gathering, half naked women not properly covering themselves. Even the hijabis are having the hijab, which is so attractive that people look at that hijab rather than anything else. So we have created, after the men dress up like a boy who's there just to be attracted to other people. The women are looking at them. Subhanallah, it's all lustful gaze going on. Everyone is praising everyone else, and people are just talking about all the futile stuff. If not haram, at least futile. Nothing beneficial. All those few hours, the most expensive clothes the people would wear in order to have fun. And they start off, if need be, with some Bismillah, A'udhu Billah, if they are religious practicing, religiously inclined people. And they would get a Maulvi of some sort to come and do the nikah on that stage where the all those stuff is happening, and yet they expect there to be some barakah in it. when they've caused everything to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after the wedding, people say, wow, what a wonderful wedding it was. Oh, they had small talk there as well before. Some recitation of Quran. It was amazing nasheed that person did. And now it's, in a modern time, people would just talk about how the bride is. They keep boasting about the bride, all the good recommendations, and talks about how he is and then or she is. They're both talking about their own respective family members. Just all crazy show off of things. We don't, blow our own trumpets. This is not the way. You don't praise people in public. That's considered, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, put the turab, put the dust in the mouth of those who praise you, because this is a killer for spirituality. What it does, it just makes you feel so big, and you can just boast about whatever, and people add up, embellish it with all the wrong things attached to it, and they make the person so special, so good, and he's just so amazing. They feel like, subhanAllah, that's the only one in the world. They just exaggerate so much that it only lasts a few months before they start fighting. Husband and wife, they say, subhanAllah, I was told that you were the best one, and here you are. And unfortunately, people have already known each other for a long, long time before they actually get together, as in nikah relationship. They have very high expectation. You knew I would never do that. How dare you do that? And in a normal arranged marriage, there's a lot of blessing where people get to know each other on that night. From that day onward, they start working in a very composed and nice way. They're already in this business. They haven't got a chance to go back. So they know that they have started. They have to get it done. They have to make it work, no matter what. And they try to understand each other in a nice way. And then it takes few weeks, months, before they become so open to each other that they already know a lot about each other, and they start working and tuning their own etiquettes and manners around that individual. Husband for wife, or wife for husband. And very sensibly, gently try to help the system work together. And they spend first few weeks, months in the house of their parents. And there's a lot of barakah in that. Now remember, you decide to go and spend your first night in one of the best hotels there that you think, and you would have your wedding consummated, nikah consummated there. And that place where you do not know who was living before you and who was using it, whatever they were doing, not in keeping with Sharia, Islamic law, like having, whether there was a properly wed couple or it was just a haram relationship in that room. So obviously that is not a blessed place anyway to be starting your first night of your life together. Then you come to this, next day we're going, or a few days later we're going to this honeymoon. So wherever you go, obviously it's not going to be the blessed place. You spend your time wherever you do, and you come home afterwards. While in a traditional way, you come home on that night. The next morning, your parents are looking at both of you, keep seeing the signs. Are they happy? They look comfortable. They are pleased. They've got that joy in their face. Their eyes are beaming and brimming of love, and they're happy. Parents could see that, and they make dua whole night, before the wedding, after the wedding, for whole week, until they get the satisfaction that you both are happy and compatible and living together and enjoying each other's company. Till that time, every time they look at you, they make dua. You go to the hotel, you go to the honeymoon, away from your parents, grandparents, family, friends, members. No one is looking at you. You're just in fun, just do whatever you're doing. they're not going to make dua for you. They would do, but they realize that you don't need it, because it's already been planned and done. You already, succeeded in whatever you want to do. With regards to, you know each other, you've got all the fun or whatever, but they don't know. It's only there for some weeks or months. Then they start fighting. They start arguing with each other to the point that they come to the verge of divorce. It's quite common to get divorced and khula these days. Why? Because we have actually created all that problem for ourselves. Allah says in the Quran, فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ ظَهَرَ الْفَسَادُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ. The corruption in the land and in the sea is because of what people have done. And مَا أَصَابَ مِن مُصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ. Whatever afflictions come to you is because you earned it. You did something wrong. You did not do something properly as was expected of you, O believers. So we need to be very careful how we play. So anyway, that was completely different to what you might have expected, but the simple answer to the question that you raised, how could in a segregated wedding men, husband and the wife, sit together? They don't need to sit together. They shouldn't sit together, even if it's within their family, because even within the family there'll be certain people who are non-mahram to the girl or the boy. So the only people who could be together is husband and wife, the newlywed couple, along with their parents. That's it. Now if you have sister of the bride, she is non-mahram to the groom. Brother of the groom are non-mahram to the sisters of, non-mahram to the bride. And likewise, so you can have girls from neither side, boys from neither side, because who would you have? Yeah, you can have bride's brother, but then they would be non-mahram to the father-in-law, mother-in-law, and vice versa. So work it out. So you would know that there will be very few situations where you could be together without having some non-mahrams there. And don't tell me that the girls will be covering their faces and having a proper hijab and niqab. Obviously not. They're the most showy person out there, both husband and the wife. That's the whole idea of modern wedding, to show off whatever you could display, just display it, so that you feel that you're the best ever bride in the world, better than the cinema and the picture world. You should have, like, very professional pictures and photography done, and it should be displayed to everyone that you know of, and people should just like it on Facebook. Otherwise you feel upset, and you start showing your angst against the beauty parlor or the person who did it, or the clothes, or the matching, or the this and that. I keep thinking about that, keep getting depressed about, oh, my wedding, if only it was like in the first few weeks. You keep thinking about that. And no one remembers anything after a week, 2 weeks. People have got a lot to do. They don't have time for you. And we think that we are the focus and center point for everyone in the world. Everyone is looking at me when I'm on this date in my wedding attire. Inna lillah. So self-centered, completely, deceived by our own personalities. This is what arrogance does to us. This is what ujub does to us. It's vanity. We remember that there was no way you would get people to come to get their photography. It was very, very difficult to ask people, please come and have a picture. They would say, no, I'm not ready yet. So they would go and literally comb their hair. They would just make sure that, I'm not talking about the halal and haram of that, I'm just saying that if you ask people, they wouldn't just come and get the picture done. They would make sure that they've groomed them a little bit, just to make it appropriate for the picture. And now, not at all. You're waking up in the most horrible style, and you just are happy to have your picture, selfie, and put it on the Facebook. You feel, subhanallah, that's crazy. picture on its own is a crazy thing anyway. What can you do? Anyway, may Allah make it easy. May Allah guide us all aright. We are causing troubles for ourselves and for our children. We keep chasing after our desires and whims and the culture and what we want to do rather than what Allah wants us to do. Allah says in the Quran, فَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Have you not seen those who have taken their desires as their Lord, as their God? They have taken and made them into their deity. This is what we have done to ourselves. We made ourselves into God. I want it like that. I want to do it this way. My only expectation is that I have the best ever clothes on the wedding day. My only expectation is she'll be one of the perfect one. So that's why you see, even the bride is checking everything, what's happening on that day, how the stage is being set up, how the food is being put, how the things are settled, the vase and the flowers and this and that. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. By the way, the food of the wedding is only permissible, not at all sunnah, not at all recommended, rather discouraged, and according to some not even permissible. But the correct opinion is that it is permissible with conditions, that it is not causing any stress to the family, it is not like father, it is not causing any trouble to them, and they are willingly doing it, and they are the one who dictate how many people they would accommodate. It is not up to the boy side or other parts of the family member. We dictate how many people should come. Not at all. It's down to the husband, for walima, how much he could afford, and for wedding, the girl's father or the guardian, who would decide how many people he would want to feed on that day, if he wanted to. But if he doesn't, that's up to him. It is not a requirement from them, and it's not even sunnah, as I said. May Allah give us tawfiq. But we demand and we show off and we do a lot of funny things there, then how could you expect any barakah in the life?